Lisa and Robyn are two fun friends diving deep into conversations where nothing is taboo. They believe in eating dessert before dinner and wearing the bikini. They're allergic to labels, authority, and cheap shoes. Currently, they're launching themselves through life being the good time, bold enough to take risks and inquisitively asking, what's next? They hail from New Hampshire, but they could be anywhere dressed in cute clothes. If they had to share a tombstone, it would read, "Curiosity killed these cats." Your hosts, Lisa and Robyn, on the mic.
Welcome to Lisa and Robyn on the mic. You were listening on 1590 AM, 95.3 FM, WSMN.live, as well as Facebook and YouTube and occasionally on Spotify.
Spotify, iHeartRadio, all kinds of good places you can find us. Welcome to another Thursday. We have exciting news today.
We do. We are one. We are 1 year old
We
today.
are one today.
And our favorite dessert is key lime pie. So I made us key lime pie bars, and I'm sticking them with candles that Robyn is lighting. And we are going to wish ourselves...
Fire hazard.
Yep.
As we got George in here doing some repair.
Maintenance. We've got maintenance going on the microphones.
Are you going to sing Happy Birthday? I have a terrible...
I'm not going to sing Happy Birthday because I hate that song. It needs to be a fast song.
It does. It has to have a beat, too.
Yeah, it has to have a beat.
Like a rapping beat.
So you...
So I just want to say happy birthday to us, and hopefully here's to many more.
Yes, and happy birthday to all of our listeners, too.
And we're going to we'll blow out our candle on 3, and everybody make a wish.
Okay.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Yay!
Yay! Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. And when I made the key lime pie bars, I don't like graham cracker crust, although I will eat it. I prefer a cookie crust, so I use animal crackers as a binder. I Cuisinart those down to a pulverized dust, add brown sugar and butter, and then I cook that first, and they become sturdier. You can hand hold them, and because I could not have somehow managed to get whipped cream into our studio from another town, I thought, all right, I'm just going to do coconut. So tell me if you think the coconut is good.
I think it's delicious. I love the crunch of it. It's very similar to my key lime pie, but I don't like graham cracker crust either. That's funny.
That's funny.
Because I use a shortbread crust.
Ooh.
It is so good. And I also make I made my own whipped cream.
Normally I do. But
yes. And it's kind of hard to keep it
contained. We'll keep it whipped.
Yes.
By the time it comes here.
Well, I almost do it like clotted cream. I do it really thick. And I don't serve it on the pie. A lot of times they'll do like little dollops and stuff, but I'm like, I like to just serve it as it is. So I will keep it in the refrigerator. Hold on, I'm going to switch.
We had a technical difficulty. Robyn touched the microphone this morning and it went careening down.
3 off, 2 on.
So we're going to switch her over to her regularly scheduled seat.
Yay! High
Yay.
five. Hey, come get your bar.
Do you want a bar?
Yes,
Take a
you
bar.
have to have at least have a bite.
We'll see if he thinks it's good. George is now eating. That's what you get for fixing our technology.
Yes. Yay, it's so good.
And then he leaves the rest of it. Take it with you.
I know. I might forget and eat it.
Yeah, we might eat that one. I don't know if he's going to get it. He may not get any more.
I don't think he has cooties, but...
Yeah. I wanted to ask you what you love about traveling. Oh, now...
Come get it. Come take the rest of it. It's really good.
There's no rum in there. George is trying to figure what is in there. It is key limes, which are... Let me put you on.
Hey, we have
Testing.
George.
Is this what people listen to here?
Yes.
Put me up. 3.
3.
That's. Thank you.
Okay, so what do you think of my key lime pie bar, George, the owner of the radio station?
I'm a partner with Bob Bottas, who's out of commission, but right now.
Wait, why is Bob out of commission?
Got in a car accident.
That's mine.
Oh, no.
That's mine. That's yours.
hers. You got to eat that one.
Okay, girls. You know
He's
what?
like, put it aside. Put it aside.
Doesn't matter what we eat.
Well, I didn't know if you had cooties. I might have cooties. You might not want to eat
Right,
what I
you
have.
might not know.
I don't care what you have.
All right, so George approves. This is a seal of approval from George.
It's very taut.
Who likes
Yes,
key lime
it's
pie?
key lime.
I think we should make some and we should sell it at Brian's place. And Kinsley House of
Yeah.
Pizza.
I could sell my cookies there. Sure.
Yes. So we actually went for lunch
Yes, we did.
last week. I don't know if we made a little reel of it. He is super, super nice. His daughter's working with her. I can't remember her name.
Yes. And then we told him, so we tried a little bit of everything because we could not settle on a thing. So we had subs and fries and pizza and spanakopita.
Yes.
And we ate it all, except you took a little bit of your sub home. I ate my whole sub.
Yes.
Hey.
Their homemade chicken salad was
He has
the bomb.
good pizza, man.
He has really good pizza. His spanakopita is amazing. And I ordered pizza before I figured out about the spanakopita.
Who made that?
I made that.
I have to bring you some in.
Oh,
Well-
that's refreshing.
It's refreshing. It's tart. So I did use key limes.
Well, we tried to do a little cooking show with Lisa, but the logistics weren't working out the way we wanted to. But I got compliments on that show.
Well, we should make some more.
Yeah, I know. Believe me, I got 4,000 things I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get on the river.
Robyn should be on it and we should record it.
She should just
Yes.
film it. I told you
Yeah,
before.
we can film it.
Anyway, listen,
can cook
ladies,
too.
we do appreciate you being on. I will never forget the first day I met Lisa. I said, I'm a talent scout. And I said, oh, this girl's got to get on the air. So it worked out, and then we met you, and then you got the double team, and you've been on. It takes a long time to, build up an audience, but we already could see from the views because you're doing multiple streaming, and you're consistent, and we just thank you for being here. You edify the community. You add quite a bit to the station, and I'm much appreciative of it. Except I do pray for your husbands.
They need as many prayers as you can send them.
I only have to deal with you for a little bit. And
I
I'm
think
like,
they love Thursday mornings when they send us off and like, here.
yeah, and they like that Russell. He's got to deal with it now.
Yes.
And I'm like,
That he's their
Holy
problem.
Here's George.
oh my! I'm like, oh boy. I'm always waiting for something to go wrong. But anyway, go do your show. I'm gonna go over. I got some work to do. But thank you for being here. And whatever you don't take, put in the refrigerator. We'll eat it tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, ladies.
Yes.
Sorry you couldn't wear the
Thank
outfit you wanted because of the
know.
rain.
Next week.
Turn off my mic, sister.
All right.
I mean, black and white polka dots. If I remember, I might have another genius idea and like, nope, that one's out.
Yeah. So we went over to Brian's and Kinsley House of Pizza, and he really took care of us because I didn't realize that they had spanakopita until after I ordered the pizza, and I felt like, oh man. But then a little spanakopita showed up on my table.
I need a fork because mine is messy. And
Yeah.
I don't want to feel like a gremlin, like going all down. But yes, and I'm not a big fan of spinach. I'm not a big fan of spinach.
Oh, it's my favorite.
I'm not a big fan of it. I've been better about it, but his spanakopita was good. Like I would get one. Like I don't mind a taste of it or like a bite or two, but to have it as a
And it's one of my favorite meals. Like even when I was young, I would get the frozen one at the store, which is terrible spanakopita. But even to me, bad spanakopita is better than no spanakopita. But when I have a good spanakopita, it's like, oh. And I told him next time I have a party, I'm going to buy a tray of it so I can, serve it. It's
Yes.
really, really good. And his pizza was really good.
his pizza was good.
And his fries were good. And his
Fries
sub
were
was
good.
good. He's
Homemade-
got good bread.
The homemade, yes, good as bread. And he toasted it. And the homemade chicken salad was really good.
So if you haven't been there, you have to go. And we might eat lunch there again today.
Maybe. I'm doing
Are
some work.
we eating lunch today?
I don't know. Are we?
Are we?
I mean, if we're going to do some work afterwards, I think we should.
Yeah, okay. So maybe,
Oh.
Brian, maybe we'll see you. And if you are over there, maybe we'll see you.
Yes. I want my parking spot right out front.
I was going to ask you what you loved about traveling, because then I will tell you a little bit of my travel story.
Oh, that's kind of, I was going to ask you something, but.
Okay, good.
Well, it kind of goes in the same line. What inspires you?
What inspires me? Usually nature. There's something about nature that I find very inspiring, like the ocean, trees, being, hiking. Anything around nature is very inspiring to me. I get very creative in that space.
Yeah, I think nature grounds me. So I don't know if it, but I think that's true too. So one of the reasons I kind of it ties it all in. I was just thinking about there's not really one specific person or thing that inspires me, and I just was like sitting with that, like what does inspire me? And actually, I think it's things or people that match a vibration, or they have you.
They're vibrating a little higher, so you want to get to them?
Yes, or you have something that just resonates with you. It's like all of a sudden that excitement or like that good idea. Those are, so I was listening to it on the way over here, and we might get into it a little bit later in our show about vibration and about dreams and wishes and things like that. And it's, I think when you're open, I think inspiration is little signs of the universe saying, hey, go this way, go that way. So it's things that like create I don't know if it's a chemical or an emotional response in your body to make you feel excitement or that little adrenaline rush to make your heart palpitate, like all of those things. And I think sometimes we ignore those. And so one of the things I love about traveling, it pushes me outside of my comfort zone. I love to see and experience and feel a different culture. And I think it expands your mind. Just even seeing how
Different people live.
different cultures live
Yeah.
in different, you can see it on movies and stuff, but you
It's
still,
not the same.
it's not the same because it's still in your mind receives it as kind of fiction.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like, oh my God, that's beautiful. But actually there are really places there, and it's a whole different feeling when you're standing on that beach or you're standing on the cliffs and you're seeing the rocky shores come up, or you're seeing the Vatican in real life and you're experiencing it. And then when you see it on the movies, it's even better because you're like, oh my gosh, I was there. But I think it opens our mind, and I think the more that you travel and more you open yourself to experiences, the less judgmental we are.
I was going to say it almost is like a portal to connection,
Yes.
that we're all kind of the same.
think
Even though we're all different, we're all the same.
Well, I think we're all made curious. Think about, going back to when you were a child. Everybody's curious. And look at all the, I think America's Funniest Videos wouldn't even be a thing if people weren't curious to see, hey, that looks like fun, or
Yeah.
that looks like, so it's exploring. And I think sometimes as we get older, we lose that curiosity.
I think one of the things I was going to say about that I love about travel is it puts a different perspective on me physically that I take for a period of time.
Yes.
It's like I'm seeing the same world in a completely different way.
Yes.
And we went to Montreal this weekend, and I wanted to say the French word for the trip we did, and it's voyage et voiture, which is road trip in French.
Nice. That sounds so pretty.
It sounds so pretty, anything you say in French. And I love that you cross the border. It's only 264 miles away or something ridiculously close. And it's like walking into another country. You are walking into another country, but it's almost like visiting Europe.
Yes.
They have the very old Montreal that has that big concrete brick style, very cemented in this old world charm,
Yes,
married with these tall glass
stone bricks,
Yeah,
and
these-
stone cathedrals, and
The cathedrals are gorgeous, and it's the marriage of that old and that new. And they speak French, which I absolutely love. I love languages, but I really love French. And I keep saying I'm gonna learn. It was funny because I haven't been in 5 years since before COVID. We used to go to Montreal all the time, and I used to know how to everything in French. Food I could do in French because I'm like, I need to learn how to eat. Right? I don't care about anything else because I just go bonjour, hello,
I know mushrooms. I know chicken, beef,
apple,
fromage,
palm. Yeah.
pommes frites. I know French fries. So
So
I could
feel
do
like-
McDonald's drive-through
and still be fine. And so when I went up there, I was like, oh wow, is that Danois? Is that particular type of croissant? And so it was funny, like getting back into like du café, du croissant.
Yes,
And I was just like,
yes.
even though I'm terrible at other languages, I don't feel dumb saying the words wrong in French. Where any
Yes.
other language, if I say the word wrong, I feel
yes,
stupid for
Yes.
some reason.
yes,
But so we went on a road trip. We went on the motorcycle up there. We had great weather up there. We tooled around, and then we came home in the rain because you're going to be in the rain. One of the things I was thinking was when I had just got my pilot's license, so maybe I was 20 or 21, and I wanted to learn to ride a motorcycle. I thought, I want the wind through my hair. I've learned to fly a plane. I can figure this out.
You do have a dirt bike.
And I do have a dirt bike. At the time, I've never been I've been on the back of a motorcycle, but that's the only way of my introduction into being on a bike.
Yes.
And a motorbike. And so I call up Hanscom Air Force Base, has motorcycle lessons on the weekend, so I sign up. And I'm watching the weather, and it's going to rain. So they have like a ground school component of it, which is the day before, and then you ride for 2 days. And so I said to them, well, are we rescheduling because it's going to rain? And they look at me like I am insane. They looked at me and they said, you're going to ride in the rain. And I said, I'm not riding in the rain. You live in New England, you're going to ride in the rain.
Can I ride with one hand and my umbrella in the other?
And that weekend, I sat for 16 hours in jeans in the rain learning to ride a motorcycle.
Oof.
And so I feel like I'm always still like a little traumatized by the motorcycle and rain, but we got rain gear, which made it considerably better.
I tell you, when you have proper gear for everything, it makes life so different.
Yeah, it's a world of difference. It's like, I can't believe I ever did this the other way.
So when you get proper hiking boots, hiking is a whole different ballgame instead of, your sneakers or your sandals, your strap-on sandals, your, what are they, Tevas or?
Tevas,
yeah. Whatever they are.
Right.
Tevas. Yeah, your river sandals.
Crocs.
Are
you wearing Crocs on the mountain? I see people wearing flip-flops hiking up a mountain. I'm like, how does that even happen?
Is why Crocs
I can't go
even
downstairs.
got traction. Like,
I don't know.
How are they in business? Like, I can see them for gardening, but I had some cute, like, little rubber, like, galoshes, like, slide on, like, mules. And I'm like, those are so cute, but why would you, Crocs? Like, I'd just rather have flip-flops. It's not going to keep your feet from getting dirty.
Yeah, I don't own a pair of Crocs, and I will never own a pair of Crocs.
My kids were little. Like, when they were 2 and 3, and, like, they're like,
cute.
They're only like 5 inches long, like, I don't even know how.
And they're going to grow out of them in 6 minutes.
3 inches, yeah. And they had the little stickers or the little things that they put on them. But those were cute for them, like knocking around, going to the pool or in the yard. And it was nice when they were little because you didn't have to tie their shoes. And they could do it themselves and then slip it on. But
I used to love when my nephews would put it like on the wrong foot for a second.
Yes.
And then they'd put it on the right foot because they'd start figuring out like, this isn't right.
This doesn't feel right. Something's not quite right.
So we went to St. Joseph's Cathedral, and it happens every time we go there, but to be in a church of that stature, with that much history, and we couldn't help but cry a few times because it was just so touching and so moving.
It's powerful. I feel like when you feel the energy and you take a minute to calm your body and just experience it.
So can I tell you a funny story in which John was like, Robyn would be like, everything happens for a reason. This is the vibration. So
I'm all about that.
My spouse is Polish, half Greek, and there's a restaurant up there called Stash that makes amazing Polish food. Now, we haven't been to Montreal since before COVID, so 2019 was the last time we went. But we were going once or twice a year for probably like 6 or 7 years in a row for a while. We really love it up there. And so we would go to Stash. And I was so excited to bring Lenny and Amy to Stash, right? So we make a reservation, and I'm telling her, I'm gushing, I cannot wait to come and eat your food. We're bringing our friends. We haven't been to Montreal since 2019. We show up. They sit us down, and for 26 minutes, no one makes eye contact with us. No one comes to our table. No one brings us a glass of water, and no amount of like waving to try to get someone's attention. They come to every table, including the 2 on either side of us, never making eye contact with anybody at our table.
I would be like, what the hell?
So we all start. First of all, our reservation's at 7:30. Now it's 8:10. And we're hungry and we're thirsty. We could have dealt with anything if we could have a little bit of water.
You gave them a lot more grace than I would have given them. I'd be like, I'm out.
So John said, I'm going to get really upset. I'm going to give them 3 minutes. And then Lenny said, why are we giving them that time at all? Let's just leave. So as we were leaving, I walked up to the hostess to let her know, like, you got a table open. I said, we are leaving because no one came over to see us. And she goes, okay. And she just leaves. So now we're panicked. It's now 8:15. In old Montreal, and every place is jammed, right? We go across the street to this Greek restaurant. We look across the street. Ooh, Greek restaurant. We go in, and they said, we just opened our doors 2 days ago, and we're packed. Like, people were anticipating our restaurant open, and we're packed. We're like, oh, no. The guy says to us, don't you worry. Come with me. Marches us across the street to Marcella, which is an Italian place, and he says to them, the next table that opens, you give it to this group.
Wow.
Then he yells to the bar, get me 4 shots. And come on, we're all having a good time. Come on, you're going to sit down. This is going to be great.
God, you got to love Greek people. I tell you what.
He's not even Greek, and we're thinking this isn't even his restaurant, right? So we're like, what kind of guy just takes you to the restaurant across the street? He says, no, this is my restaurant. His name is Mike. He owns 9 restaurants up there. And then
Does he
says,
own the Greek restaurant too?
yes, he
All
owns
right.
the Greek restaurant too, and Le Butterfly. And
But he doesn't own the Polish one.
He doesn't own the Polish one.
That's got poo-pooed. That's like down. That's no stars for you.
Right. So then what ends up happening is we have the most amazing meal, and the people are wonderful, and the location is great, and it's beautiful. And he comes and checks on us a couple of times. And then he says, you know, everything happens for a reason. And John said, oh, Robyn would love this. And I'm like, yeah, this is he's like, this is exactly where you need to be. So we ended up eating at his restaurants the rest of the trip. We just tried a different restaurant.
Awesome.
He hooked us up with, and the food was amazing. And I'm going to give a shout out to the chef at the restaurant, the Greek restaurant. His name is Nima. He made a watermelon feta pistachio salad that I'm going to make. I'll put it on Instagram. He gave me the recipe. He's, chopping stuff in a basement. I go downstairs and I find him. I'm like, can I ask you if there's Greek yogurt in that dressing? He was wonderful. So the food was amazing. And the other thing was we were pounding down croissants every single morning. Like I had 2 or 3 croissants. So one morning I had an almond croissant, a danois, which is a croissant that has a hole in a middle that's filled with jelly and fruit. And then I had...
You sent me a picture of that one.
Yeah.
Like, that makes my mouth water.
And then I had a French spanakopita with flaky pastry crust, and so the equivalent, just no feta. I had 3 things in one morning, and I did not have any bloating that I would normally get from gluten.
Probably fresh too. I mean, it's fresh ingredients, and you're not lacking the preservatives. I think it's the preservatives that.
I think it's the preservatives, but they have different wheat up there. So we have genetically modified, genetically engineered. So I think that's what we're all responding to when we say we don't, because like bread is the staff of life. I mean, it's been around for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years.
So wheat, like the grain.
So I think some people legitimately are just going to be allergic no matter what. Like you could be allergic to nuts or anything. But I think we're all kind of developing an allergy because we're having a steroided version.
Well, it makes sense too, because you think about it when we were growing up. I don't think there was as much, preservatives and genetically modified stuff. I think we were kind of on that where processed foods were coming more and more. Like that's kind of where they were, maybe I'm wrong, debuting. Mm-hmm. So we didn't have a lot of additives and stuff. But I don't ever remember going through elementary school all the way through a high school with anybody having a food allergy.
Right.
Or gluten or, dairy, or there might have been like some sensitivities to it. But I think
the other thing, too, was we didn't know why we felt bad. I remember when, I'm babysitting the kids next door and they just have diaper rash and they kept saying, change the diaper the minute it's wet. And all we're doing is sticking our hand in the baby butt. Yeah. Like, no, there's no moisture. And then the second, and they would, be all rashed. And I think we learn now that that's some kind of sensitivity to formula.
Oh, yeah.
Because my nephews had it, and we had to keep changing formulas until he didn't get that.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting how much we've learned over the years, but I think we're just exposed to a lot more as far as chemicals and toxins. They don't have Cool Ranch Doritos in Canada.
They don't?
They don't allow one of the
Well, they probably don't have Diet Dr.
ingredients.
Pepper either, because most European countries, every time I've traveled to Europe, there's
You're not getting
never
a
Diet Dr. Pepper. It's always, Coke is the dominating force, across the pond.
Yes.
I'm like, I don't know why. I mean, every once in a while you can find a Pepsi or like an orange,
Orangina.
Something like that. I don't even know. Maybe Fanta, something like that.
I used to love grape Fanta with a meatball sub.
Ooh, yes.
Toasted with provolone cheese.
I had
Brian.
I had a meatball sub yesterday because I made meatballs the day before, and nobody ended up being home for dinner. So I'm like, I don't really want to cook. So I slice them. So I slice the meatballs, and they're all covered in the sauce. But I put just a little bit of olive oil and just a tiny bit of garlic in the saucepan, heated it up, and I had sliced my meatballs. So even with the sauce in it, and so once they got kind of like that little seared, crispy on the outside, just a little bit, I added a little more sauce just to heat it up, and then I threw some fresh Parmesan on top of that and some fresh mozzarella. And I kind of scooped it all up and shoved it into my sub roll.
I'm going to have a meatball sub today.
I'm like, this is good.
I have to have a meatball sub today.
But I'm like, it was something so simple and so easy. And I'm like, I just enhanced it instead of like just putting it in. Like, I loved the way the cheese kind of all melted too. And I think mozzarella is so underrated. I love mozzarella. It doesn't have a lot of flavor, but it adds like texture, and it gives you just the right amount of like chewy, stringy pull.
Gooey.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been doing a lot more with Parmesan too. So the other day I had some fresh green beans, and I had put them in. So I do asparagus the same way. And I was like, everybody says, oh my God, I love your asparagus. I don't eat it. Chris is like, for somebody who doesn't like asparagus, you do a really good job. So I'm like, I'll take that. So I put just a little bit of butter in the pan, and I was like, kind of like you're stir frying your green beans. And then I add a little bit of garlic and just a little bit of soy sauce. And I just kind of keep shaking them. So I like them when they get like a little bit crispy, but not mushy. And then I just sprinkled some of the grated Parmesan. I grated a little bit of Parmesan over the top of it and just kind of tossed it all together. It's so good.
See, I don't do it. I haven't done asparagus on the stove in a while because I've been roasting them.
Mm.
And they make them like candy.
Yes.
So I've got to get back to doing it that way. I like the idea of a little bit of soy sauce, the saltiness.
It was just easy. So then I use pepper, and I don't use any salt on those. Green beans, I think, need
I
salt.
think the soy
But
has
soy,
a little bit,
yes.
yeah.
And sometimes I'll have a teriyaki. I do that on the it's a teriyaki sauce, but it has a lot of spices in the bottom of the jar, so you can see it. So some of them it's just brown liquid. It is so good. All you need is I think people sometimes over season. Sometimes I always season to taste. So even when I'm doing a recipe, like, well, I don't really know how much, because I do it into my liking.
Mm-hmm.
I like just a little bit of. I like when you put food into your mouth that you automatically taste a flavor.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
No, it does.
Not just like, oh.
Well, it's funny how over the years we've joked around. My spouse and I joke around all the time that this tastes like nothing.
Yes.
Have you ever been someplace and you're like, how does this taste like absolutely nothing?
Yes. And especially red sauce. I hate going to an Italian place and their red sauce is bland or yucky or
yeah.
bleh.
So I think you can do anything great. You can do anything poorly. But we took the motorcycle up, and normally when we go to Montreal, we stop at a patisserie and we pick up caramel and jams and all kinds of fresh fruit and croissants, and we take them home. And my spouse said, I don't think we're ever going to do the motorcycle up to Montreal. And I said, why? Because we had such a great experience. And he said, because we can't take home food.
That's true.
I said, no, that's a really good point. We either need to go up with someone who has a car so you can fill up their car.
Yes. Yes. And shipping it all back is always like, we still have a piece of artwork down in Port St. Lucie that we haven't shipped up yet. It's like, it's a massive frame. Then we get it. We had a friend of ours drive it to the post office, and they're like, no, we can't take it, process it through here. Or maybe it was the
UPS store?
A shipping store.
Mm.
And they
Like
said
a
it's
postal
too big.
center?
Yeah. I'm like, well, if you guys don't do it, who else does it?
Right. Who is going to do that?
I don't know. So that's why it's been sitting there for
A year.
It'll be a year in August. It's like, wow.
That's crazy.
That's some artwork that could be hanging on my wall.
Or on your place in Florida.
Yes, indeed. Well, it's kind of, it's an Italy scene. I think it's Venice. I forgot the artist. It starts with a D.
Would
Anyway,
I know him? Her? Him?
him. If I said it, you would.
Okay.
It's an old one. But it's a street. It's an Italian scene in Venice. So there's like the little canal boats, gondolas. I actually don't remember that much more about that because I'm like,
You haven't seen it in a
I've
year.
only seen it twice.
And I was thinking gondola boat.
And I was like, Chris, I'm like, did you take a picture of it? And he's like, no, I didn't. I'm like, I don't either. I'm like, where are we going to put it? Oh, I don't know.
I think we posted. Robyn made a reel of Kevin Hart just making noises and saying "don't." It is the funniest reel, so you should check it out on our Instagram page. But I feel like we could use that for me. I always want to bring art home,
Yes.
and my spouse is always like, "Where are we hanging? Wait, we're not buying anything.
Right.
Where are we hanging it?"
Do not go in that store.
Do you
Don't.
know, when I'm buying plants, we have no more room for plants. I don't know, where do you think you're putting those plants? We have no. What are you doing with the bookstore? We have no more rooms for any books. I just feel like I'm constantly Hobby Lobby, the fabric store. Just no,
Oh
no,
my
no,
God,
no,
yes.
no.
It's my obsessive compulsive personality.
Well, it's kind of I want all the things.
I think it's a thing. I think it's a lot of things. Like I never grew. When we were young, my mom was always outside digging in the dirt. We're like, whatever. We're going to go play. Never really understood. And she's always out there like deadheading stuff and, watering her plants and always doing landscaping and always digging. And she used to carry a shovel in the back of her car. And for the longest time, when I first...
We were like, what
when
are you
I
doing
built
with
my-
that, Mom?
Yes. And she's
Are
like,
you
well,
burying
maybe some-
bodies?
No, we were used to it. She always had binoculars because she was like, "Oh my God, did you see that bird?" And we would stop. But I'm so grateful for it because now, like sometimes on the way to school, when I was taking the kids to school, we'd stop. We were late to kindergarten one morning because we had a moose in our backyard, and I'm like, "This is a better education that they're going to get." Here it's literally at their swing set, and it's rack. So we had built So I don't know however long a 2x4 or it might be the posts. What are they, like a 6x6 or an 8x8? The big square beams. So I don't know. So there's got to be 10 feet tall. Like so you make the triangle and then you do the beam across. Its rack of its antlers were above the top of that swing set, and they were like just fascinated that there's this huge animal, and it gives them a perspective of like how big it really is.
You have no idea how big a moose is until you see it up close.
Yes. And it comes walking up our yard. I'm like, how can I miss this? I mean, we've stopped for snakes. We've stopped for porcupines. We stopped for turtles. One time we actually, down in the Deering Reservoir, there was a huge turtle crossing the street, just taking its time. So I pulled off on the side of the road, got the kids out of their car seat, and we watched it go down, and we saw her. She was laying eggs. We found her hole. We followed her to her hole, but we're like at a safe distance. Watch her lay her eggs, and I'm like, how cool is that? And you wonder why my kids love animals.
Right. Right. I don't know how people don't love animals. That's kind of my thing. I think they're it's amazing how many different things are on the planet, and then when you take into effect the ocean, how many
Yes.
different things there are that are. That's why when people talk about there's no aliens, I think, how can just think of all of the life, think of all the trees, all the plants, all the animals, all the bacteria. How can there be nothing anywhere else?
Right. Think about
I think that's amazing.
like all the insects. Just even take
Yes.
insects, like all those little tiny no-see-ums that you see.
Yeah. That make a bug bite that's bigger than them on me. I don't know how they manage the destruction of 10 times their size on my skin.
Well, I just think even just watching, even looking at the stars and you watching like the auroras, and that was up a while back because we were able to see them a couple of weeks ago. Some people could see them better. I went out every night with my camera snapping pictures, and I'm like, nope, still black, still black, still black. But people did share in the group where, like, mostly up towards like the lakes region, I think.
My client did one in Hollis.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he could see it in Hollis.
So I think that timing, and I think your view,
Yes, that's true.
we didn't drive anywhere to it, but there's so much mystery and magic in the world around us, and sometimes we just take it for granted, and we just don't.
Well, I think we're learning so much in science, and we're getting so smart as we learn more and more that we think that it's an either or. We either know all the mysteries or
Right.
and it's really a combination of, we're just learning really recently, that the heart is its own center like the brain. We learned about 10 years ago or 14 years ago that the stomach has a knowing like the brain does.
Yes.
Like there are certain centers of our bodies that are other brains, our second brain. Your stomach is your second brain.
Yes.
That's phenomenal.
But I think a lot of people have been saying it for years and years, and they've just been saying it in a different way.
Yes.
Your chakras, and people are like, "Oh, that's just woo-woo stuff." I don't back away from that.
Yes.
But if you put it in scientific terms, everybody can relate to that. Your heart has its brain, your stomach has a brain, because it is controlling. It's part of your nervous system, your digestive system, it's part of all of these things. So it has to have some kind of operating system.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, it makes sense that way. But when somebody says, well, that's your root chakra, and you're like,
Where is that again?
what?
What? Is that at my feet or at my butt? Where's my root chakra?
So it's funny how I just laugh when people are so adamant. I love the saying, I don't know what I don't know.
I love that. I love that I'm so smart except when I'm so dumb.
Right.
That one's my favorite.
Yes. Well, that's why I say I'm an idiot savant. But I don't know what I don't know. And we don't know, years ago, if you'd asked me 10 years ago and they said aliens, or maybe 20 years ago, I would have been like, no way. Just because my mind couldn't comprehend it. But I was also very closed-minded too. So I don't know.
This is a question for you. One of the things we did differently this weekend is we did not have a hotel room. We
Yes.
traveled not knowing where we were going to stay.
And are you usually a planner?
100% a planner. And we did that for a couple of reasons. One, we made a trip to Florida, which rained so hard. There was such a monsoon of a rain that we couldn't take our trip on the motorcycle to Key West, and we lost the hotel room. We lost $1,000.
Yeah.
So there was like, let's not lose money. If we plan this, it's going to be pouring rain, and let's just be flexible, which as you get older, I think is harder.
Yes. Well, I think we allow ourselves to get complacent. Not maybe
Well, we
not
get
complacent.
set in our ways. Like we do the things, and part of it is
Yes.
because, we've had experience. So we're supposed to take the experience
Right.
and build on it so that we have a better life.
Well, it was just like when we went to the airport, and I was like, "No, you're like, I have to print my ticket out." I'm like, "No, don't. You don't have to print your ticket out."
And I'm like, no, because when I break every piece of technology, George can attest.
Yes.
When it comes to technology, it somehow breaks around me. It's my energy field. I have a very strong pulsing energy field, apparently. And I can't get it up. Then I can't open. And then there's people waiting behind me, and everyone's agitated. So to me, just the ticket always works.
Yes.
Plus, I use it as a bookmark later.
Yes.
And then it becomes a memorabilia thing for me.
Yes. Yes. I did save some stuff, but it's just one of those ways, like how and I had said to Chris, we're kind of at that age where, that the younger generation is like much more savvy on, electronics and just ways to do things and doing things. But I think as we get older, I was going to say complacent, but maybe it's not. We're just being more selective about, I don't really need to take on, this is going to require a lot more energy, and I don't really want to. Do I really want to take this on? Do I really want to learn this?
The last time I tried 6 new things, 5 of them didn't work, so I don't want to try a new thing.
Yes.
Or, so I think there is that part of life is experience. And you're supposed to learn from your experiences.
I think that's what life is.
But sometimes you just had a bad experience.
Yes.
So you learned the wrong lesson.
Right. Instead of carrying it, like, I can change this narrative.
And I could try again. And maybe you'd have a better experience.
Yes, that's the beautiful thing. I was kind of contemplating that. I was thinking about that on the way over this morning, and I kind of took a note on my phone. I'm like, driving and like trying to personal develop and drive is not good for me.
Do you think we're going to be able to have self-driving cars in New England with the weather? I think no.
Oh, I don't know.
So they have them currently now. I think Arizona, all your cars, like your Uber cars, are
yes, our daughter's
driverless.
boyfriend they were in a driverless car.
And I think, because you have beautiful weather, when we have rain and when we have snow in it, because every time I plow, there's always snow that covers the camera, and then the car is, you can't see it. I'm like, I know I can't see out of the camera.
Yeah.
I'm well aware. I don't need that camera. I can
What
drive.
if my battery dies? Well, so one of the things, so when we were in Virginia, in Virginia last summer, we rented a Tesla, and we've had Teslas before, but I don't like them. I don't like the fact that you have to go to your screen, the dashboard where the radio is, to turn your windshield wipers on. So you've got to go scrolling through.
Oh, I didn't know
and
that.
somebody that doesn't know it, and like to lock your doors, to change your fan, to adjust your seat, like all of these things. So we had put in, we were an hour and 15 minutes away from the airport. So I said to him we should stop and charge up before, because we needed a charge. We needed to get some juice. And he's like, "No, we'll get it on the road." Well, you're in Virginia, and you're kind of in farmland where we are. So we put the GPS in, and we thought we're driving to the airport. And it still says our end destination is the airport. It rerouted us 22 miles out of the way to go to the next charging station. So it's 22 miles that way.
And then 22
and
miles
22 miles back to get on the thing. And I'm like, are you kidding me? We're not going to make the airport. Because it decided, like, you're going this way. And we didn't know it. You didn't know that it was going to go to the, it was going to drive you to the charging station.
Because I'm running out of juice.
Like, I don't
need to
like
go to
that.
the- Well, I always joke around that I want to drive. And one of the things, there's a lot of benefits about technology, but I notice on the motorcycle, when the navigation's not working properly or something's, the rider is now it's in the screen instead of riding the motorcycle. You don't need that. You just look up and you'll be fine. And a couple of times I've had to say, drive the bike, because now you're starting to get that tunnel vision of troubleshooting something, and you're no longer riding the bike.
Right.
And in flying, an accident is never one thing. It's the compounding of several different things. It's you got a little lost, you start troubleshooting where you are, you're not paying attention, you don't switch over the fuel tank, then you run out of fuel, now you're like, there's always, it's never one thing.
Right. It's a series of events.
It's a series of
happening
events
that lead to that.
And when I see, even in the car or technology, all of a sudden the Spotify is not working, and now you're trying to figure out why your music's not working, you're not driving the car.
Right.
The same thing. When we start getting really sidetracked by this troubleshooting piece, we're no longer driving the car.
Right.
We drove, and when I have a client who technology saves all. So we're always arguing because, he'll say something and because he wants me to get on board with this whatever the new thing is, he wants me on board with it. And he's telling me all of the benefits. And I say, we have put a man on the moon without this technology. We have created cars. We have done so much in the advancement without that piece of technology. It may take us, maybe I'll go to Mars with the new technology.
True.
Right? Maybe. I wouldn't
Is he
mind going to
talking
space.
about AI?
No, every piece of new technology, every single new app, I should use this new app.
Oh my gosh.
Why aren't I
yes.
doing this? And because for a while I was like, look, I'm not texting. And he was really mad that I wasn't texting. And I said, because I drive for a living. And people get mad. They think they automatically offend that you're not paying attention to them. I know you have your phone on you and you're ignoring me.
Right.
I am driving in the car.
Right.
I am powering a 3/4 ton vehicle.
Right.
When I have my sander and my plow on, it is a ton.
I don't need to know that you sent me a smile emoji.
Right.
Right now.
And I say, if it's really urgent, call me, because I can pick up the phone. I can talk and drive.
Right.
But looking down and reading and then trying to type with my fingers and my nails, not happening.
Right.
So we used to get into these old things, because for a year, what happened was I was at a light. Because then I would only look at my text messages at the light. Well, I saw everyone moving, so I lifted my foot off the brake and I smashed the car in front of me.
Yeah, because they were turning left.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm never doing this again. I've learned my lesson. Now, I hit them not just coming off of a full stop, but I drive a 350 truck. I'm huge, and this little tiny car, I put the trunk into the car.
Yeah.
Just from the weight of me.
Well, so even my car is, the minute you take your foot off of the brake, it's already going forward. It's like the self-propelled mower. Like, it's going to go, it gives you that little bit of juice. And the minute and my gas pedal is, you have to hit it at a certain, like, it wants to, it's gonna
It's a sports car. It wants to go.
it's gonna rev like it wants to go. So it gives you that little kick right out of the gate. It does not matter how baby caress you do,
Yeah,
you know,
the
baby
gentle.
tap you do it, it's gonna go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sorry.
So one of the things that I think is, I don't know, we got on this whole technology thing, but so I want to know. I'm not just buying any new technology, like, because you give up something, you gain something, and you give something.
Yes, I think that works every time you pick up something new. You're gonna lose something.
And some things I don't want to lose, and some things I'm happy to lose.
Well, so here's one of the technologies. Wow, I did not think we were talking about this today.
I
But
know.
Here we go.
Here we go.
I'm just
We will talk about what we're going to talk
Welcome
about in
to
the
Lisa
second
and
hour.
Robyn on the mic.
On WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM, and on WSMN.live.
And all the other places. Well, so my daughter's boyfriend was telling us, and I'd heard it before, that now like all the new all vehicles are going to be coming with the option that you're going to have the heated seats, you're going to have the heated steering wheel, you're going to have AC, you're going to have power windows, you're going to have all the bells and whistles, you'll have navigation, all of these things, but you're going to have to pay a monthly subscription for that. And I'm like, the why people think that this is a good idea, like you're already, like cars are so expensive right now. I mean, what's a cheap car?
And you're going to pay for the feature because they're going to build it in every car, so you're paying for a feature you're not even going to use.
Right. Well, they're not going to let you use. See, that's where I'm like, well, I'm not. Yeah. I mean, you're going to have to give me power windows, but
Not unless you pay our monthly fee.
right. Or you're going to have a roll down so I can crank it too. So you're going to, but so to me, like that is ridiculous. That I think is just raping us.
So they're
is
doing
how
it
I
on,
feel.
Yeah, they're doing it on motorcycles too. They're talking about Harleys doing it. And what I think we should do is when it comes out, if everyone refuses to buy it for 6 months.
I know, but nobody ever does that. They
I know
say
they
they're going to
should.
do it because it's like, they say do the gas strike, everybody fill up on one day and go a week without doing it. Nobody would ever do it. But that's like really, people don't think about like, oh, it's only $10 a month. It's $10 a month for the next 5 years for your navigation. And
For
then
your $100,000 vehicle.
now if you want a heated seat, that's another $10 a month. So, I mean, by the time you add up all just the little luxuries on it, you're paying on top of your car payment already. So you have, what's an average car payment? $500? $400?
A minimum.
I have no idea. That would got to be the minimum. But then you add, now you're paying another $100 or $200 a month just to have, simple necessities in your car. And I just think it's wrong. And I think we should, I don't picket, protest.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the problem, that we all feel like, oh, well, it's going to happen anyways. And I think we're being bulldozed over. And don't tell me, that's another profit center for you. Well, that's great, but you're making money on the vehicle. You're making money on the motorcycle.
Right.
A $40,000, $31,000 motorcycle. It's got 2 wheels.
Well, people are always going to need vehicles. People are always going to
Yes,
buy vehicles.
yes.
Now we're just going to find a way, like, how can we extract more money from you? Literally, so I took a picture of it. There's a shampoo that I buy strictly for the smell. And they don't have it very often. So when I do see it, I saw it at Walmart, and it's like a cheap shampoo. It's like Herbal Essence or something. So it's always been like $4.69. But I love the conditioner. It's moisturizing, and it has, I forgot it's like cucumber and charcoal, or it's cucumber and something, but it has just a very nice, light, fresh scent to it. Literally within months. So it used to be like even during COVID, it was like $4.69, somewhere around there. It's now $9.99. Same bottle. Then I went to Market Basket. It was like $5 and something. I was like, not the same.
I wonder if they're doing that because everyone's robbing them blind with the self-checkout.
Probably, but I'm like, there's a little bit of anger and aggression that is
That anti-authority of like,
well, when I
screw
go
you.
check out and the guy is just sitting there at the door and he's like, give me your receipt. Like, dude, you just watched me go through the checkout with the lady that was, the checkout person.
The cashier.
and you want to see my receipt? I'm like, I ignore him. I'll get my phone. I'll put my receipt down in my purse, and he's like, and he'll hold his hand out, and I just keep walking by. And I'm like, it's stupid. Get more checkers. Get more cashiers. Solve your problem instead of having somebody sit there and just, let me see your receipt. What's that going to solve anyway?
So
what are you looking for?
So I follow this woman on Instagram, and she was saying, I'm at Home Depot, and there's 4 people standing around and talking while I'm checking myself out. Mm-hmm. And I directly messaged her, if you ever hear a woman too loudly saying, I don't remember filling out an application to work here, I'm pretty sure I don't work here, it's me. It is me yelling loudly so someone will come over and assist me in the self-checkout, because I don't want to check myself out. I had that job.
Right.
I have a job now. I have 2 jobs
Shoot,
now.
I already have to make the list. I have to go and drive there to get it. I have to walk through the stupid aisles multiple times sometimes because I don't know where the stuff is.
That's just nonsense.
And
Stop
then,
it.
And then I have to get it all out of my grocery cart. I'm like, you have to just scan it up.
So I used to work at a grocery store called, and then we're going to take you back in the day. I worked at a grocery store called Johnny's Food Master. It's on Alewife on the corner, like right where Somerville met Arlington, Massachusetts. And they used to have a carriage that would lift up the whole front, and the cashier would take out your stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
You didn't even load it onto the
belt.
Onto the belt.
That's awesome.
I had worked there right when they were doing that. Then we used to put everything in bags, put it in a container, put it on rollers, and you used to drive up with your car, and we would load your car.
Wow, that's like state of the art for that time.
And then we started, then we changed the belt configuration, so you had to take your stuff out. And then eventually, we never got rid of the, I worked there 40, how many years ago?
Actually, I do know that. We've been to some grocery
36
stores
years.
in the South that have that. They just lift the thing up. And it's a really small belt.
Yes.
And it kind of is like, there's one that used to be like a circle at the bottom.
Yes.
And it'll like spin around.
Yeah. Yes. And so it's just funny how in our short lifetime, kind of short lifetime,
I know, it is very
getting
short.
longer, and longer, but still a short lifetime, we have seen such changes. And I think part of us, our generation is like, hey, this used to be better. I didn't check myself out. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. And I paid way less for it.
Well, you would think that stores would be vying for the at-home delivery things. It seems like they would be in competition to not lose business from people getting their foods delivered. Or maybe that's the way it's going, and we're the old people, and
Maybe
we're just
we are the old people.
resistant in saying,
This is what I have to ask, because I know a couple of people who do the grocery shopping. I shop based on what I'm cooking for the week, and I'm always cooking something different. And if I'm making a recipe, so yesterday I made scallops, bacon, and a zesty lemony pasta cream sauce. If you didn't have, they don't always have scallops. So if I go there with the intention of buying that and there's no scallops, I have to reimagine my, meals.
right.
So but what do they do? Send you home with all of the ingredients minus
the
scallops?
thing is, and I want to pick out my own vegetables. I don't trust somebody, like I'm picky about them. I don't want somebody else picking out my vegetables for me and my fruits for me. How do I know that I'm getting the best? I still like to be hands-on. And it's like the same way for like clothes. I don't like to shop online. If there's something particular, but I also, a lot of times you'll see something and you're like, I need to try that on. Because a lot of times you love it and then you actually try it on. You're like, it doesn't fit me right. I don't like this, or wow. So I still like to have the experience. I don't like grocery shopping, but I also don't want somebody picking out my meats for me. And then I don't want them to do a substitute when I don't. And so, because I usually shop for the week too, and it's convenient.
And we're such mood eaters.
Yes.
So we're also mood, like how we cook is based on mood. And all of a sudden, if you don't have some of the ingredients, now I have half a meal.
Well, I feel like if they didn't have what I needed, if they didn't have the scallops, and they didn't have something, and now I feel like I've got to go back into my cave and I got to reconfigure. I got to go back and strategize again before I can come out and be like, okay, because I am such a mood eater, and I'm like, oh, this sounds good. Now I work myself into it, and now I'm anticipating and excited about it, and then it's not there. I'm like, okay. So I end up usually doing something, well, all right, tacos.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want to go back and... I guess I mourn my the loss of not being able to have my meal that I wanted.
Yes. And I've been dying to make that scallop meal correctly, and I nailed it last night.
Nice.
I did nail it. And I'll tell you why.
You'll have to tell me why.
Yeah.
You will put it on the Daily Fork.
Yes. You were listening to Lisa and Robyn on the mic on WSMN, 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live. We're at the top of the hour. We will come back after this commercial break. Stay tuned.
Watch and stream at WSMN.live.
Have you tried to quit drinking before, and much to your surprise and dismay, you couldn't? Have you tried therapy, meetings, and treatment programs, but still can't seem to stay stopped? Or maybe you live in fear that you'll lose your job, your home, or your family, and much more if you don't get this figured out, and soon. Well, there is hope. My name is Bill Nielsen, and I'm the founder of Nascent 24 Recovery and Life Coaching. And I struggled for over a decade. Yup, 10 years, trying to get it right. I lost jobs, 5 6-figure jobs in fact, homes, friends, relationships. I thought I'd never get off the merry-go-round or the roller coaster, but I did. And I've developed a proven proprietary process that works. Why does it work? Because it addresses the root cause and not the symptoms. No more Band-Aids on bullet wounds. It's a 12-week journey that will transform your entire life, not just the drinking thing. I work one-on-one with every single client, and your privacy and anonymity are paramount. The great part is that you don't have to leave your home, your job, or your family. Text me the word recovery to 203-241-1266. That's 203-241-1266. Or visit my website, nascent24.com, NASCENT24.com. There is a solution. Take the first step. You won't regret it.
USA News. I'm Ryan Daniels. U.S. Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito remains under scrutiny as Democrats in D.C. are pressuring him to step away from the Trump election and immunity cases. There are questions being raised about Alito's capacity to judge fairly in the cases that involve the January 6th Capitol riots. This all because of that upside-down American flag that was photographed flying outside Alito's house shortly after the 2021 riots were concluded. The upside-down U.S. flag symbol was at one time associated with the Stop the Steal movement. Justice Alito has said the inverted flag was his wife's doing, that he knew nothing of it, and that he will not recuse himself. Deliberations in former President Trump's criminal hush money trial in New York are set to commence Thursday after jurors were dismissed with no verdict announced Wednesday. Trump is the first former U.S. president to be brought up on criminal charges in the nation's history. It is one of several criminal cases against him. In this one, he's accused of falsifying records prior to the 2016 election that he won to hide hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels. Israel has shared a photo of Nikki Haley riding "Finish Them" on an artillery shell intended for Hamas. USA's John Schaefer with more.
The former Republican presidential candidate visited Israel this week to meet with officials. Danny Danon, Israel's former ambassador to the United Nations, posted the photo on social media, captioning it with, "The IDF will win." Haley completed her message on the shell with, "America loves Israel always," using a heart symbol for loves.
It's a big acquisition in the world of big oil. ConocoPhillips is making an all-stock deal valued over $22 billion to purchase Marathon Oil. The agreement announced Wednesday afternoon. This is USA News.
Omaha Steaks is rewriting the book on burgers with an all-new handmade texture for the juiciest home-style burgers you've ever tasted. Their pure ground burgers are made from single cuts of real, aged Omaha steaks. These are truly steaks on a bun. Filet mignon, ribeye, New York strip, sirloin, and even brisket burgers. Now is the time to experience the exclusive Burger Perfection Flight for just $79.99. Go to omahasteaks.com and use promo promo code TREAT at checkout to get an extra $20 off your order, plus free shipping. You'll get 4 of each Pure Ground burger, so you can sample all the steak on a bun greatness. These burgers are crafted for a juicier, more tender experience, making your mouth water with every single bite. Don't wait. Go to omahasteaks.com. Use promo code TREAT at checkout and get $20 off the Burger Perfection Flight and discover your new burger obsession. Minimum order may be required.
I am Elena Dries, nurse practitioner at Altrix Primary Care, located right here in Nashua, New Hampshire at 57 Northeastern Boulevard. At Altrix Primary Care, we are dedicated expert nurse practitioners who provide high-quality, comprehensive primary care services for people of all ages, from newborns to older adults. Our nursing model of care is distinctive because it's unhurried, high-personalized, easily accessible healthcare for you and your family. Visit us online at altrixpc.com/Nashua or give us a call at 603-821-4009. That is 603-821-4009. Altrix Primary Care, changing the future of primary care for you and your family.
Are you or your loved ones in need of compassionate care in the comfort of your own home? Look no further than Heaven Sent Home Care. Heaven Sent knows the importance of personalized care tailored to your unique needs. Whether it is assistance with daily activities, medication management, or specialized medical care, our compassionate caregivers are ready to provide the highest quality of in-home care. The services provided by Heaven Sent Home Care extend beyond physical care. They also offer companionship, ensuring that you or your loved ones have someone to share stories, laughters, and meaningful moments with. Experience the peace of mind that comes with knowing your loved ones are in capable hands. Or visit us online at heavensenthomecarellc.com to schedule a consultation and learn more about the comprehensive range of services provided. Heaven Sent Home Care, where care and compassion come together.
Are you craving a delicious home-cooked breakfast or lunch? Look no further than Cookie's Diner, Hudson's favorite dining spot. But it's not just about the food at Cookie's Diner. Their friendly staff provides top-notch service, making you feel like part of the diner family. Cookie's Diner, conveniently located at 222 Central Street in Hudson. They're open Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. and Sunday from 7 a.m. until 1 p.m. Call-ahead orders are always welcome via DoorDash or by calling 603-880-3424. Cookie's Diner, where great food and fantastic service come together.
The best deals in Nashua are at the River Casino and Sports Bar. $1 roulette, $2 pizza slices, $3 domestic beer. Check out our new 9-foot pool tables. Take a chance to win $200 during our famous Friday chicken toss. Open till 2 a.m. weekdays, 4 a.m. Fridays and Saturdays. Visit us online, therivercasino.com.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Lisa and Robyn are two fun friends diving deep into conversations where nothing is taboo. They believe in eating dessert before dinner and wearing the bikini. They're allergic to labels, authority, and cheap shoes. Currently, they're launching themselves through life being the good time, bold enough to take risks and inquisitively asking, what's next? They hail from New Hampshire, but they could be anywhere dressed in cute clothes. If they had to share a tombstone, it would read, "Curiosity killed these cats." Your hosts, Lisa and Robyn, on the mic.
Welcome back to the second hour of Lisa and Robyn on the mic. You are listening on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live, plus Facebook and YouTube. Welcome back to the second hour, where we are going to talk about our topic eventually. No, we're going to do it right now.
Wishes and dreams, dreams and wishes.
Wishes and dreams. What is your relationship to your sleeping dreams?
Well, I was going to say that's hard for me. Yesterday when you were saying we should do this, because I don't remember my dreams.
Really?
I don't. I remember a few. I remember a few, but I was like looking online, and I found some interesting stuff about dreams.
So I've always remembered my dreams, even as a young child. And I've always had a very difficult relationship with sleep, where a lot of times it was elusive. You know, I had that insomnia problem for most of my life.
Yes.
And the answer to it when I was younger was just to sleep more. I wasn't sleeping enough.
Well, yeah, so that's what they say. They say that we have REM state for very short periods of time in different cycles of our sleep. So we actually get about a total of 20 minutes of sleep,
well,
of REM sleep. So you start out with I think it's your longest period.
No, you end with your longest period.
Yes.
So if you don't sleep well, so if you're only sleeping, say, 4, 5, 6 hours, you're never getting the deepest part of REM. But it's not my fault that I didn't sleep a lot as a child. It was very popular for everyone to quote that Leonardo da Vinci only slept 4 hours.
Yeah.
And they were always pushing some 1800, genius who died at 50, like as the reason why none of us needed to sleep. And in the 80s, it was about productivity. You'll sleep when you're dead, that type of,
Well, basically, I think the long term, our sleep is its way of filtering out. It's almost like, okay, it's going to bed, the body is still. So let's categorize and get rid of the things that we don't need and keep the things that we do need. And a lot of times our dreams, if we're not in that state, if we're not in that REM state, it never gets, hey, it's 11:11. It never gets into that state where it's stored in long-term memory.
Yes. So that's why when you have a really bad night's sleep, your memory is a little screwed up because it's almost like your brain is doing this filing cabinet. This is short-term memory. These are long-term memories. It's consolidating. It's cleaning. It actually cleans the brain while you sleep. It pushes this film through.
I feel like it's like you're picking up after toddlers at preschool.
Yes.
It's like, because we've been everywhere. I've been gardening. I've been working. I've been doing this. I did this and did this. And now it's like, okay, it's time to go pick up the toys and put everything away and put them back where they belong. And I do. I think probably yesterday when I read that, I was like, you're right. I've been struggling with sleep. I always thought I slept good, but I don't. I've always slept. I can usually do a solid 5 hours. It's 6 hours. I'm always surprised when I wake up. I'm like, hey, I made it.
Yeah.
I feel like a victory. So I don't know. I wish I could remember my dreams. And there are sometimes I actually started keeping a notepad by my bed because I'm like, oh, I want to remember that. And I don't. But now I'm at the point where I'm trusting, well, if I don't know it, then I don't need it for right now. It'll be there when I need it.
Yeah.
And learning to trust that process.
So because I've always remembered my dreams, when I was dealing with my heart problem, I was having a lot of nightmares. And I actually had said to one of the doctors, I dream every night that I'm drowning. And they're like, it has no relation. And I was not breathing in the night.
Right, holding your breath. That you're feeling.
Yes, yeah. And since I have fixed my heart, I have considerably less nightmares.
Wow.
So I think the brain is kind of working through things like the subconscious brain.
Yeah.
But that's what it's like in our waking dreams.
But I think
our
I think a lot of nightmares are your subconscious. It's your fears. And I think those come out. Well, that was such a genius thing to say. Duh. No, but I think that we're vulnerable when our bodies are under fear and stress and anxiety. And so I think that maybe our brain can't categorize it because it doesn't know where to put it, or it stores it in there as a trauma, or it's I don't know. I don't think that. Do we remember our nightmares, or are we more prevalent to having nightmares because we are vulnerable in that state of fear and anxiety?
When I was having a real difficult time sleeping, I started reading a bunch of books about sleep, and I read a book called Nightmare Land, and they were talking about, he suffered from insomnia, and he was talking about all the different sleep problems. So all the other books are about just, the thing that is the most annoying is a non-insomniac telling an insomniac
Right.
how to sleep. You want to punch them in the face, right? So if somebody has no problem sleeping, be like, just go to bed. Why aren't you lying? And you're like, I'm going to stab you.
Right.
I'm so tired and I can't sleep. There's that tired and wired, which is a whole different thing where you're so exhausted, but your body's now switched on
Well,
and
your
you
brain
can't go
function.
And then have you ever had that night where you're lying there, but you're still a little bit conscious? Like you
Yes.
don't go under? That's torture. To me, that is just because it's like, okay, we'll take this as rest anyways, but I'm not sleeping.
Yes. Yes.
So I
don't wake up feeling restful for during those times, but there's some times where you're awake and you're I think you're between the conscious and the subconscious, and you have those free flowing thoughts, and sometimes when I'm waking up versus before I go to sleep. That's how I usually am for me, because I think I had such a hard time falling asleep. I listen to
What do you mean when
music.
you're waking up? You get the most thoughts when you're waking up?
Yes, sometimes. So if I'm going to be in that space, in that when you have those free flowing thoughts, and sometimes they're cohesive thoughts, and sometimes they're like, what? Like you can't, you're not floating around in space, but it's just something weird. It's fantasy.
Yes, very much fantasy, sci-fi fantasy.
But what I've done is like I try to be consciously aware of that space when I'm in it, like I'm enjoying it, and I want to stay in that space, because like if I can, oh God, it sounds so weird. If I can get my conscious mind to be deliberate about paying attention to those subconscious thoughts, I feel like there's some magic that's going to happen in there. I don't know what it is yet, but I used to like, oh my God, I hate that because I can't get back to sleep. Now I'm like, oh. And that's why I started keeping a notebook by my bed. Like, what does that mean? Like, our bodies are such amazing things.
And we really don't understand dreams at all. I mean, we understand them a little bit, but there's still a lot of conjecture around, I've dreamt of a bear. What does a bear mean? Or I dreamt of this, or, because when you try to translate, because for a while I got into, what does this even mean? It makes no sense. The story, I'm a reader. I'm a storyteller. I love this story doesn't make any sense. I need an explanation of the story. So for a while I was like buying books about the meaning behind dreams or the symbolism behind dreams. So I got into them for a while. But we had Nick Allerud on our show, and you were talking a little bit about waking up in that subconscious, going from subconscious state to a conscious state. And that had me kind of thinking about dreams and subconscious dreams that aren't realized. And when, there's a movie that I love, it's called Stranger Than Fiction. And it is Will Ferrell. It's from, I think, 2000 something. And he's just an IRS agent, the most boring, bland accountant, right? And there's a narrator, there's a storyteller, and now their lives are colliding, and she's narrating his story, and all of a sudden he can hear the narrator.
I've got to watch
and
that
she's
again.
going to kill him.
Yes.
And she's like, it ends with his imminent death. And he's like, what? And he's yelling to the sky, what? But I love, in that whole thing, I love that storytelling piece of, he's trying to find out why this narrator is doing this. So he goes and meets with a psychiatrist, and she's like, you're schizophrenic. And he's like, I'm not. So he's like, and you're hearing voices in your head. Yeah, I know, but it's just got a good vocabulary. It's telling me what I already did. It's not schizophrenia. So he goes to try to find out, and he goes to a literary person, and he says, you must have some unfulfilled dream. That's why the story's coming out. You're trying to write your story. And he's trying to elicit him because he's so boring. I go to work. I come home. What is the story? You've always wanted to do something. And so they figure out he wants to play the guitar, right? So he starts playing the guitar. But that, you must have some underlying thing. You must have some underlying dream. And I think there's the dreams that we pursue on a daily basis, but then there's that subconscious underlying thing. And I think that's sometimes where a lot of frustration comes in, because we can't see it 100%, but we feel it.
Yes.
But we can't identify it. We don't know how to bring it out. So I just think that conscious state, and I think it's the most prevalent in dreams.
I think so too. And
Conscious
I think
dreams and unconscious
I think that our subconscious is, without sounding so weird, so if you talk about, you've heard me talk about ego and soul, and I think that we both have ego. And I used to, until I learned the new word, so ego is, we have good and bad ego. So the bad ego that shows up is the wounded ego, the one that's, dealing with the trauma that gets sparked by words, it's the anger, fear, aggression, anxiety, all of these things. But also our ego is meant for our good part. And I think that it is a part of our soul, our spirit, that's wanting to connect. And so I think that it speaks through our subconscious. Like in part of our dreaming is part of that. And it's giving you hints, giving you pieces. And so on the way over here, I wanted to try to find it really quickly when I was listening to the other thing. So I'm looking it up.
So while you're doing that, I'll talk about
intentions are just wishes without actions. I read that today, and I was like, because a lot of times, sometimes we dream about things, like you're talking about the movie, the guitar thing. Sometimes these things pop up because it's so deep-seated in there, or we forget, or we get so caught up in listening. We get caught up living. We get caught up in the day-to-day things, our responsibilities that we've added on to us, and then we forget to speak to our inner child, our soul, our spirit, whatever you want to call it. It's that inner you.
But I think it's interesting. A couple of the last few guests that we have had have all talked about in the space. You create art in the space.
Yes.
There's just, and music is in the spaces between the notes, because it's just C, G, F, those are the notes.
Yes.
But what makes music is also the spaces between those notes.
Yes. So what I heard today on the way over here, and I was like, oh, that's good. It's also talking about acts. So in the book, it's talking about manifesting, and it's talking about vibration. And you can't have, to me, and I've said it before, you can't have the law of attraction without the law of vibration. You can't sit here and say, I'm going to manifest a Ferrari, and you just don't put any action to it. You don't put any action to it, then it's just, there's no intention to it. But I just got myself off track.
So intention is a wish without action.
Yes. But when you take actions, when you start taking actions and you have thoughts and ideas, inspirations, coincidences, or the way he said it, are little nudges from the universe saying, go this way. And I love that. And sometimes dreams are that way. And I think so. That is maybe our conscious and our subconscious trying to get us to move in that direction.
So we were talking about this with, we were in a business group the other night, and we were talking about something, and someone was saying that they just didn't know what they should be doing. They have a lot of plates spinning, but they didn't know what they should be doing. And when I started this radio show a year ago, it came out of nowhere.
Right.
Like 100% came out of nowhere. And it wasn't something on my radar. It wasn't something I was trying to do or was looking forward to doing. But it opened up as an opportunity and a possibility. And I just said yes instinctively. Had I said, I don't know, let me think about it, I would have never done it.
Yes.
Because I would have gotten frightened. And I even remember I told him.
You talk yourself out of it.
Yeah. I said, I have to go on right away because I'll just never go on. Like, it has to be.
You got to just strike while the iron is hot.
Yes. Or, no matter what I do, something physical, I have to either be not the first person doing it, I have to be the second person so I can see what it is, but I can't be the last person in line because I'll talk myself out of it.
Yes.
Right? So
yes.
Now, a year later, this show has been such a joy. It's been a punctuation of joy in a week. I love Thursdays.
Yes.
I absolutely love Thursdays. I used to love Thursdays because I always watched my nephews. And then they go to school, and now I have this, and I love my Thursdays. And my whole week kind of gets built around it. I talk to so many people about the radio show now that I'm learning so much about so many people in my life that I didn't know.
Yes.
Because we start talking about stuff. I found out one of my clients used to be in a band called Diecast, which opened for Pantera.
I know. I actually looked him up the other day, and I was like, I knew it.
And I said, I'm like, how do I know you for 4 years and I don't know this about you? This just seems wrong. And then I'm thinking, this show has scratched a curiosity itch that I've always had, that I've only used reading to really scratch
Explore that.
itch. Mm-hmm. And now this is a whole nother mechanism to explore curiosity. But
yes,
it wasn't a dream I had. I didn't.
Right.
But when I told George that I wanted to be an air traffic controller, I wanted my voice to help pilots fly from place to place. And he's like, well, now your voice will be doing this. And it's like, oh, interesting.
It is kind of like a pilot. Hopefully that we bring something to help you launch you into action to being your better self, to inspire you, encourage you to be curious and explore and
guide you into something, guide you through your week.
Yes. Make your life rich. Make it what you want it to be.
And hopefully we have guests on that you really enjoy, because we love having our guests on. But one of the things I was thinking, we were talking the other night, so many people said to me, you're going on the radio. What's the end game of that?
I don't know.
And it was like, I don't know. I'm just, what if the show itself is the end game? I don't have an answer. But I think when you were talking about the magic, sometimes we lose the magic, the magic of not knowing.
Well, I think that's why you should leave. I think it's, I don't even want to butcher it. I think it's the surrender experiment. I don't know if that one's Tim Grover or not. The surrender experiment it's talking about, it's almost it was for confirmation to me when I started learning more about myself. Like, oh my God, I've been doing that for a long time. And now somebody gave me a word to it. Like, I don't know what the end game is. I know what my past purposes are. I know what my intention is by doing the radio. And if you would ask me a year and a half ago, we've been part of big mastermind organizations, business networking groups, and Chris was always up front on stage in front of people, and he would call me up and I'm like, nope, I don't want to be there. And if they were videoing, I would walk in the other direction. Like, I don't want to be in the spotlight. So I still can't believe that we're doing this. So it makes me want to be better. I'm so grateful that it has given me an opportunity. One of the things that I learned practicing. So you're talking about intentions, or wishes and things and manifesting, and manifesting without raising your vibration is not going to do anything. But learning about how we talk to ourselves, I never had confidence. I was always insecure. I was always, my body image. I was always focused on the things that I didn't like about myself, or the way I spoke, or, so what I said was, in one of the chapters, it says, if you want confidence, our brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. So if you say, today I'm going to be confident, or you're saying, I am going to handle this with confidence, or I have more confidence, the next thing you know, you are starting to do it. You're starting to go in that direction of believing that you do. Your brain can't tell the difference between reality and your action.
Yeah.
So it talks about doing the brain waves.
In your thoughts, when you were talking about you can't attract something without a higher vibration, a lot of people don't even know what a high vibration means. And it's like, when you're really mad, that's the low vibration. And when you have that moment of happiness, or your kid wins something at school and you're elated.
Yes.
And that's a higher vibration.
And people operate on that. When you get around like-minded people, I feel like your higher vibration, your energy level goes up. You have that kind of sense of bubbling, that excitement. Suppose, you just hit a home run, or you just hit a hole in one, or, the person that you love just proposed to you, or, whatever those levels of excitement are. Once you realize that we have the ability to create that every day in our life and live in that space, why wouldn't you fight for it?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I am. It's not euphoric, but it's just
it's better than being angry all the time.
It's a high vibration.
Mm-hmm.
It's peace. It's peace. It's joy. It's adventure. It's curiosity. It's all of these things. It's excitement. It's all of these things. And so what I was thinking about too is, for my personal experience, and maybe that's very polarizing, but now that I found that, I only want to be around people like that. I don't want to be, because I'm not strong enough in my energy, my force field is not strong enough to withhold
your mood around someone else's bad mood.
Operating at people that are on a low level vibration. If you're going to always operate in fear, anxiety, and anger, there's a certain amount that you've got to do, so they take away from that.
Yeah.
And so you've now spent your energy, instead of improving, you're using that energy to not allow it to change. So you're being protective instead of just growing. Does that make sense?
It does. And one of the things that I've always talked to people when they talk about that kind of thing, it's like, I catch moods like colds. I've said it 1,000 times on the show. It's very hard for me to be really up and happy if you're really mad or sad. It's very hard for me to distinguish, because I start feeling, like catching a cold. I'm catching your mood. So I understand when you're like, I don't want to be around that, because it's like, oh, I was feeling good until I saw you today. Now I don't feel good anymore, thanks.
To be blunt.
And now it's going to take me a while to find myself feeling good again.
I was in paradise over here until you showed up. Now I'm like Eeyore in an umbrella,
and
rain
I feel
cloud.
I feel myself like go through some experience in the world, and I'm like, I'm Igor. Like I'm like down,
Yes.
And I forget who we were talking about something, and I said, I'm kind of in a good place, and I don't want to jolt that. I don't want to do anything that jolts me off of that.
So that's what you do. And once you found that, you want to protect that. And that's where I am right now. And I know, so I have a tendency to be polar. Like, I will cut that off. Like,
light switch on and off.
Bam, boom. I just because I know my space is vulnerable, and I'm trying to use all this energy to learn and put these tools into place that I have discovered.
But my friend Amanda told me, just remember it's not yours.
Yes, but it's hard
to remember.
But it's hard to go. So I said to I always suck at analogies, but I was thinking, like, being around low vibrational people, and when you found that you found a vibration that you like, for you it's a high vibration, it's like driving a Ferrari with a regulator on. It's like, that you just want to push that gas pedal, and you want to hug those curves, and you want to test it and see what it can do, but you can't, because you're in traffic and you're behind this as somebody's got the regulator on. It's only going to let you go 15 miles an hour. It wears you out.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
It's draining.
Yes.
So I know I forgot what Nick's words were, but I said faucet or a drain.
Yes.
And so I'm looking to be around people that are a faucet, that are going to match my energy, people that are going to take away. Most of the time, they're not interested as much as they say they are interested in. They are going to drain you. We're going to rob you of it. And it's hard to get that.
And I think our moods are habits too.
Yes.
Because it's, I look out and I see the rain, and I immediately wake up like, what am I going to wear in the rain?
Right.
What am I doing with my hair in the rain?
Well, I was stomping around this morning because I really had a cute outfit that I wanted to wear. And I was like, wow, now I don't know what to wear. I'm like, now I'm going to wear flip-flops. And
I didn't even want to wear my white jeans because I walk and splash up rain on the back. So I'm like, I can't even wear my white jeans.
But I was like, I don't want to wear jeans. And I'm like, I'm going to look somewhat dressy. But my whole outfit was ruined. So I'm like, no, I can't let it change.
Right. And that's how fragile my mood could be. I wake up and be like, man.
Well, but I think that if we all get to that space when you're open, I think when you're open to change, you're open to experience, you're open to opportunity, and you're open for connecting. So that's really what we're doing. It goes back to the switchboard operator. Like you're putting your I was going to say you're putting your receptacle in to see if it's a good fit. It's like, can we say that on the radio?
Yes, receptacle is not one of the 7 swears.
Yes. I didn't do a 7 deadly sin. Yes, your prong. You know what it is.
Yes.
You're putting it in, and when you get feedback, because you're going to get feedback, and so sometimes it's a good connection, sometimes it's not. But when I'm finding out, I'm faster to pull that plug out of that connection of lower vibration, because I know that I'm in a fragile state. I'm open, and I'm working to be stronger.
Oh, so that's interesting. So I'm fairly open.
Yes, and that's why you get receptive. And I'm like, I put a meme out a while back, and I'm like, it is so true. Your energy introduces you way before you walk into the room. You just think about, just stop and observe the people around you that are sitting at the table having coffee, or you're out to dinner, or the people in line in front of you. What is their mood? What's their energy? You can see their energy. It's not weird. Like are they scowling? Are they scowling? Are their shoulders hunched down? And so we're all receptive to people's energy.
So people watching. I love people watching. I've always been a people watcher. I come from a long line of people watchers. And one of the fun things we used to do was make up stories about people as they go.
Narrating
But now it's harder to make up stories because everyone's in their phone. You can't see.
I know, when you see all these people who are sitting outside, they get the outside table. So, outside tables are a fairly new thing on Main Street. That is definitely the one benefit of COVID, that we now have outside seating. So it's only taken us, 100 years to catch up to Europe, but here we go. We're grateful. We're grateful. See, I'm not going to let it do my energy, poo-poo my energy. Where was I going with that? Oh, so outside seating is prime. And then you see people, and I'm like, man, they're wasting space.
Yeah.
That's my negative. They're wasting space because they're not even looking around. They're not enjoying the atmosphere. They're both on their phones. Like, why are you going to pay $100 for your dinner and you're not even, like, you're not making an experience.
John and I went to a restaurant. It was in Andover. And I could not stop staring at this table because John will tell me when I'm staring. He's like, you're staring. And I'm like, both of them are on their phone. They had a holder to hold up their phone. And I thought, well, maybe they're talking to someone and they're at dinner with them. But they weren't. They were scrolling, eating dinner. And I'm like, why would you even bother going to a restaurant?
See, because maybe because people don't see.
Maybe they don't want to cook at home.
Right. But so maybe I was thinking, so my mind is maybe people are just going to go eat. And see, to me, food is always an experience. I don't care whether I'm at home or whether I'm, like last night I was home alone by myself, and I'm like, I'm not going to cook.
You came over and had scallops.
I could have.
I didn't know you were alone.
Well, I didn't know I was going to be either.
Okay.
She ended up going, Chris went to the office, my son went to the driving range, and it all happened like within, it was at 6:00, and, she got home. Oh, I'm going over there for dinner. I'll be back. So I had a couple of hours to myself. I'm like, well, I'm not really hungry, so I'm not going to I'm not going to make a big meal. So I'm like, I'm going to heat up those meatballs. I'll make a meatball sub. So instead of sitting at the kitchen table, I took my meal outside. I sat by the pool. I created my own space instead of like, okay, I'm just going to eat and just
stand over the sink while you're.
And it's probably why I don't like to eat during the daytime either. Like by myself, if I'm by myself, I'm just like, I'll pick here and pick there, but I don't really want to sit down for a meal because to me, a meal is an experience.
Yeah.
It's something to be enjoyed. It's an event.
Yes. It's something to be enjoyed, definitely. And I think for a long time, I found that you can punctuate your day with enjoyment of food, and then it became such a like a goal that every meal was going to be worthwhile. And then it sort of came into, I starved myself as a young person trying to be this constant size too, and never enjoying food, always having the deprivation that now I'm eating, and I don't want them just to be calories.
Right.
I want it to be, the key lime pie. It is like tart, crunchy cookie, but creamy. It's worth its calories.
Yes.
It's worth eating.
It's because it has multiple different flavor. It's not just a sweet treat. It's got complexities to it. It's got layers to it. So you get a little bit of, it's satisfying on a lot of different levels.
Yes. And then it's, I'm having it at 10 o'clock in the morning. It's fantastic.
Absolutely.
But I do think food was a way for me to bring a lot of enjoyment. And food is a way for me to bring a lot of connection. I connect to people. I love to feed people. Like, I was so excited. I almost took a behind the scenes of me making the dish for you, but I was like, I can't post it because then she's going to see it. So I can't surprise her. But I was going to do it and then post it afterwards. And I go to put my camera on me as I'm starting to make the food. I looked like a disaster. I had been out all day. My hair had blown out of its, I had my hair up, but it had been blown out.
That's when you put some powder on your face and like slaving all day.
I was like, I look like, what are you doing cooking tonight? Go lie down. You look like you should be lying down. Why are you cooking at 8 o'clock? Why are you starting to bake at 8 o'clock at night?
A truck driver that just did an 18-hour shift.
Now you're in the kitchen. Half of your hair is up. Half of it is way too down, and you're going to video that. So I was dying. I was cracking myself up, but I was so happy to make it.
Yes.
Because I was so looking forward to You're a person who is great at surprises.
Really?
Absolutely. You're a good present person and you're a good surprise person. Like, you give such good reactions. Maybe it's just, you have great energy all the time, but I loved surprising you in Florida with the Chihuly Museum.
Oh my God.
I loved making this.
You see that reel I made this morning, like the memories of calling, like I was crying and I was like trying to find the right, and I was like, this one just fits because I was going down like an emotional mess and I'm like, now I want to be happy. I want to send a happy one. So I put the music to that one.
And so when I was so excited driving here, like, oh my God, she doesn't know that there's key lime pie.
God, I love it. I know. I can't wait to take that home. And there's more. That's the best thing about it. Like, there's more. But I generally, I feel like I'm open. I am open to receive, and I want to match.
That's it. You're a great receiver. Sometimes when you give people presents, they don't want the present.
Yes.
And you're like, if you could just accept my present. There are some people who you go to pay a bill at a restaurant and they won't let you pay. And you're like, can you let me do something for you?
Yes.
I know you have the money.
Yes.
Yes,
there's a few people that don't like to receive gifts, and I feel like, well, it's the yin and the yang, and that's a whole different conversation too. Like male energy and masculine energy and feminine energy, and when we're together as a couple, we come together as a couple. We start comparing our spouse or our significant other, our
against
person,
us.
Well, against us or against themselves. And it's very hard to fall into the masculine energy. I think sometimes has a hard time falling into female energy. I think it's easier. Well, because I'm a girl. So, I'm going
to speak from here.
Comment, hit us up if I'm wrong. But I think for girls, it's easier to fall into that masculine energy because there's a part of us that loves that feel. And that's what we feel about falling into masculine energy. Like I even shrugged my shoulders of being snuggled into that tight, that muscular masculinity. And it makes you feel safe and loved and strong. So we get all giggly gooey like that. Whereas I think for guys, it's a little bit harder because it's like they have to take off some armor to be vulnerable to receive the female energy.
Yes.
And there's sometimes I've said to Griff, I'm here as a gift to you. Mm-hmm. You're a gift to me. Let me use my gifts. I can heal you. I can love you. And I feel like that's who I try to be, whoever I touch.
Yes.
I try to leave it better that, unless you're going to be a real a-hole about it, then I will show you my dark side.
Then you'll be in a fight in a minute.
Yes.
So street.
So really quickly before we go to I have an example of talking about your vibrational level matching your manifesting.
Okay.
So when people say, I want to lose weight. I want to lose weight and I'm going to manifest. I am going to lose weight. And so you put your thoughts out there, but you take no action and you're just accepting that it's going to do it. You still have to create a deficit.
Do you think that I don't mean to interrupt you. So if you need me to ask
No,
the
go
question
ahead.
at the end. Do you think losing weight, because it comes with a deprivation, that's where the energy is wrong?
Yes. So I think about, we spend so much energy, time, energy, and our emotional well-being looking for the easy way out. Well, I'll take a diet pill. I'll try this new diet. I'll try this fad. All that energy is doing the research to find what diet pill you're going to take. Doing all this. Dude, you could just get off the couch and walk 10 minutes. You could cut one thing out of your diet to create a calorie deficit. Say you eat a half a bag of chips at lunch every day with your sandwich. Try 15 chips. Try changing the bread. There's so many different micro shifts that you can do that's actually benefit for you, but we waste a lot of energy on finding the easy way because we're hesitant, so we don't take action on it. So if I say I'm going to lose weight and this is what I'm going to manifest, I'm going to go do a manifest, and then none of our actions, none of our behaviors change. So we're not raising our vibration to match what we're wanting, what we're trying. We're not trying to attract it. We're trying to find the easy way out to actually not do it. And then once we just decide that life's hard. So whether you do it the right way or do it, well, that's the long path. That's the long way to do that. And I don't want to do that. No, you can take micro shifts. It doesn't have to be, but we're, again, convenience. We've created, technology. We've created convenience and, accessibility, instant gratification. So there's no delayed gratification. We're like, well, we want it now. So, well, shit, I got to work for that. So that's going to require me to sacrifice something. But what you're sacrificing is toxic to you. So start picking up one or two things that are good. Instead of 2 cookies, have 1 cookie.
Have a really good cookie. Because what I think, when I've spent a lot of time in my life on diets, when you want something that you're not satisfying it, you will eat everything else till you eventually get to that.
Yes.
So in the 80s, we were afraid of fat. And it wasn't like, oh, we were afraid of fat.
I know.
Every
Fat-free
single
milk, fat-free butter,
every
fat-free
single
yogurt.
news outlet said, stop eating fat. Fat is making you fat. And you're like, well, that makes sense. Fat is making me fat.
That's why we're all so damn stupid.
Right. That's why we're dumb.
Because fat feeds your brain.
Right. So then they started marketing fat-free salad dressing. Salad dressing is only fat and acid.
Oh, God. Fat-free sour cream and fat-free yogurt.
And I refused. For years, I'm not eating fat-free milk. I'm not eating fat-free dressings. I'm not, the whole point of this. And I would eat the fat-free thing and my body knew it needed the fat.
Yes.
That it ate something. It ate the calories without the thing it wanted
Right.
within the calories. And so I just ate the fat thing later.
Right. Yes. It's like you're playing this game in your mind, and you actually, if you stop and pause and think about it, you actually know exactly what you're doing. Well, I'm just going to go grab a few of these, or I'll just go have a couple of crackers, because I'm just, every time I walk into the kitchen and I think about that cookie, and I'm like, no, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to eat a couple of pieces. I'm going to eat an orange. I'm going to go do this. Oh, I'll have a slice of cheese. So I end up eating a lot more stuff that you wouldn't have eaten anyway. Just take the damn cookie.
Yeah. And I also think that there's such an emotional component to eating. We use it as ballast.
But we also look at dieting as a punishment, restrictions. It doesn't have to be that way. Make micro shifts and in using it to empower yourself. I'm going to lose 5 pounds by the end of the month if I keep doing this. Start stacking your wins. Hey, today I didn't eat the half a bag of chips. Today I had 1 less soda. It kills me when you go in there and you see that. Even the 16-ounce bottles of Coke, it's 350 calories.
That's like
of sugar.
2 really good cookies.
Yes. But I'm like, but you don't do, you think about that. So 2 of those, you're almost at 700 calories. And it's just soda.
Right. You haven't eaten anything.
I'm like, come on, if you drink 3 sodas a day, I like soda, don't get me wrong. I mean, that's why I switched
used to
to
drink
diet.
6 sodas a day. I worked at a company, it was a consulting company, and they never wanted you to leave because they wanted you to work
Oh,
too much.
yeah.
So they always brought food in, and they used to stock the fridge, and they used to constantly have food. And so you'd go to the printer, you'd have to walk by the room, you'd grab yourself something, you'd grab another Coke. And for a long time, I used sugar and caffeine as a way to regulate the fact that I wasn't sleeping.
Yes.
I would just, why don't you just give me cocaine?
What else can I do to stay awake?
What else can I do to stay awake? Have 6
The
Cokes.
toothpicks just blew out a while ago.
Yeah, like the cartoons when he opens up his eyes.
Yes.
They're pushing the eyes. The little mouse is pushing the eyes
Yes.
open on the cat. Yeah. So I used to, because I wasn't sleeping and I was chronically exhausted, I would just give myself sugar and caffeine as a way to prop myself up. But then one day you wake up and you're like, wow, I'm 15 pounds heavier. It's like, what happened?
Yeah.
You're drinking 6 Cokes a day.
Yes.
Lady.
So it's micro shifts and started looking at, so that's my whole, I don't know why I'm resistant to like punishment. Like, and that's why like, why not both? If you, hey, do you want to go do this or to go do that? Do you want to have this? Do you want to have that? Why not both? Like I can moderate it. I don't have to come from losing weight. The whole reason that you did it is because you want to look better and feel better about yourself. So start celebrating your wins and empowering yourself. Like, well, I don't have to make it difficult. What's one thing that I could change right now to do today that could create a deficit, or one thing that I could do to actually love my body, to love who I am? A lot of times we don't, sometimes we don't love ourselves enough. We don't take care of ourselves. We don't take care of our mental and our emotional space enough. So we abuse it, and we're like, no, I'm too tired to think about that, or that's too much work to do that. So I'm just going to go.
I think that's where space comes in.
Yeah.
If you don't have the space, if every minute is filled with scrolling on social media and TV and the traffic report and all, if everything is always bombarding you at all times, we used to go in the bathroom and hide.
Mm-hmm. Just to get away.
I remember doing that at work. It was like, you were in the bathroom for 15 minutes. I'm like, are you timing me? I was hiding from you.
Yes.
Is what I was doing. I didn't even have to go to the bathroom.
I'm avoiding you.
I am hiding you because I need to my sanity for a second. But now we take our phones into the bathroom. I was in the bathroom the other day and
all the
woman
time.
was talking on the phone. I'm like, I wonder if they can hear all the toilets flushing, because we were in a big public bathroom. I was like, we don't even have the time in the bathroom by ourselves anymore.
That's what the mute button's for. But it's true. We fill our life. We fill our brain up. And,
decision fatigue.
Yes. Well, we've talked about a lot before, too. Like, you think, we always say we don't have enough time, but actually write down in a day how you spend your time. You get up in the morning, and you don't have to do it like every hour. Go back at noon. Okay, what did I do? What time did I get up? Where did I spend my time?
Oh, can I interrupt for a second?
Time study.
One of the things that I think it's a big shift for me. So as a property manager, you have a laundry list 2.5 pages long before you have even gotten out of bed of the stuff you didn't get done yesterday, the day before, because, you're always working a rotating shift because things take time. You're working on something for a week or a month or 6 months. A project takes 6 months to complete, right? So you always have things to do. Getting rid of that, reorienting my day to, I feel so much less productive because I'm not checking off 100 things on a list. And it's like, ooh, this is interesting space. How do I know that I've worked today if I haven't done the 10 things or the 55 things?
It's reprogramming your body. It's reprogramming your mind to being like, I don't know where we got this thing that we have to be busy 24/7. The minute our eyes are open, we have to be productive and focused on doing something. It's what was my biggest beef about schools. You get them home, like there's no time during the day, even when they get home from school, allow people to decompress. And they say, well, you should decompress on your way home from work. No, in some ways you can use that. A lot of times
I've heard a lot of people say that procrastination is that decompression. If you know you have to do something that you don't want to do, and normally you're okay about doing stuff.
Well, see, to me, I think that builds anxiety.
I think it does
in me, because I feel like it's still hanging over my head. And I like to be the type of person. So if I know that I'm going to bed at night and I still have 100 things to do that I didn't get done, I feel that pressure. But that's not actually how we're supposed to live.
Yeah, but I feel like you're not a procrastinator.
I'm not, because I am very, there are some things that I do procrastinate about, but I like to check those boxes off. It's such a gratifying thing to me to feel like I've accomplished this. And
do you ever put stuff on your list that you know you're going to do the next second just so you can check something off?
No.
I have. Like, I'm going to do it in 2 seconds, but I'm going to put it on the list. So
Well, actually, that's not true because I did make a list the other day. I started out of the gate. I had to make a couple of reels. I had to make a couple of phone calls. There are a couple of things I had to do, and my system got messed up by a curveball, and I was like, oh, so I did write something down, and I'm like, yep, because I'm doing it right now. So I'm like, okay, it makes me feel more productive. But it's the silly things to say. It's whatever's going to move me forward. But so I'm learning is to say, nobody's going to die if it doesn't get done today. And it's okay to not live my life that way of checking off all the boxes. And all the boxes don't have to be done. Because I like starting with a clean slate. It's the same reason why I don't like to procrastinate, because I don't like to start my mornings with dirty dishes in the sink.
Yeah.
I don't like to walk downstairs and see that there are pillows thrown around on the couch, like somebody didn't pick them up from the night before. Like, I like to start orderly, calm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to start in chaos. And I feel like dishes in the sink, the sponge is probably wet. You know, it's just gross. And I feel like, ugh, who wants to look
if
at
you
something?
saw my sink when I left the house, because I had to take the key lime pie out of the container, I had to cut them up. I had, like, if you could see my sink
well, that's
right now.
different than starting your day.
I had a pan left over in the sink because they couldn't fit in the dishwasher.
Yeah, well,
I woke up, cleaned the dishes, made coffee for John, made my tea, did something, played with the cat, because the cat, one of the things that I started was playing with the cat first thing in the morning. So if I think I'm doing something prior to playing with the cat lets me know. He stands by the toy and just cries.
Yeah, so Chris has gotten into the habit of letting he and Milo. Oh my gosh, it was so cute.
Milo's your cat.
Yes, Milo is our little kitty. So he and Daddy go out in the mornings, and they were both walking side by side around the pool. And he's so tiny, and you know, Chris is like 6'2". And every once in a while, Chris would stop, Milo would stop. Milo would just look up at him, and then they would keep walking. Like, they did the whole little perimeter. But I was so surprised because Milo's not really like, you wouldn't say he's just one person's cat. There's moments that he goes to everybody for different things. And it was just funny watching him walk around with Chris. Like, they've started this new routine. So this morning it's pouring down rain, and they're both bounding down the steps, like raring to go. And their tiny little heads are just sitting at the door and they're crying. And so I opened the door, and Milo like goes to dart out, and he got halfway across the granite step and was like, ah!
It's raining.
What? And he ran back inside, but his ears are down like, what the hell, Mama?
This is not part of my routine. It is if you live in New England, Kitty, you're going to ride a motorcycle in the rain, and you're going to go do your perimeter walk in the rain.
Right. Yes. So how do we want to close our show out?
I want everyone to think about something that they've dreamt about, even tangentially. Like, you see someone doing it on Facebook, and it's almost like you're a little jealous. Like, ugh, why did they get to do that fun thing? One thing I have always wanted to do is ride a rower on the Charles River in Boston.
Yes.
So we should make that
A
our
skiff.
thing. No,
Is that called a skiff?
Oh, is it called a skiff?
You know, when they do the long distance thing, do we have to have a team of 6?
I don't know. I think we should look into it.
Because
I've wanted to do that for 30 years.
I think
it's time I check it off my list.
I want to do it because I love the way it looks. And now that I had the rowing machine at the gym, I'm like, I want to do this in real life.
Yes. And one of the things that I have been doing is to sit on the back of a motorcycle for 6 hours. You have to hold your abs in. You can't be all crunched. Like, now working out is for a functional purpose. I've got to lift my 45-pound bag into the overhead of the airport. You know, I'm trying to use various things as like, oh, I need to do this exercise, not because I need to do the exercise, but because I need to do an activity afterwards.
Yes.
So I want everyone to start thinking, you know, what is your subconscious? Like, just pay attention to subconscious stuff that's going on subconsciously. And then if anything is bubbling up more to the surface.
Right. Who do you want to be?
And what do you want to do? And it doesn't have to be, what's the end game of you going to row at the Charles River? What are you going to start a club? No. You just want to do one thing, just to experience one thing.
Because I like rowing in the gym. I would like to see, and I see them on TV, and it looks like they're growing really cool. One of my daughter's friends did it in college.
Really?
And it was fun. She did it for a team. Or she actually did it in high school, too. I think Sal Hegan does it.
I love the water, so anything on the water I think is good.
I do, too, and I feel like that's another thing that I've done that.
Yeah.
And it's not for tell anybody else. It's like, it's for me. I want to have adventures. I want to have experiences. One of the biggest things that has gotten me into action is when somebody said, there's so many more things that I want to see before my eyes close for the last time. And we only have so many adventures left inside of us. So think about, what kind of adventures do you want? Hit us up on Facebook and let us know, or Instagram.
Thank you for tuning in on another Thursday. This is Lisa and Robyn on the mic on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. Until next Thursday, have a great week.
WSMN 1590. WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at WSMN.live.
USA